My name is Sheena McLaughlin. I'm the program manager at ISA for our study abroad programs in New Zealand, Fiji, and in Newcastle, Australia. Today, we're going to be focusing on New Zealand and why it's an ideal location for inexperienced travelers or travelers who need some assistance. I know many of you are advisors at universities, and you know it's important to help guide students into the correct program for them where they're going to have the most success. So hopefully today what I'm going to go over is going to let you know about the resources and services that ISA provides to students and what's special about New Zealand, in hopes that you'll have a good understanding of what students will find success here. So we'll go over staff. This is the US-based staff. There's myself, Sheena McLaughlin, I'm the program manager. There's also a site specialist and a program advisor. What we do is mostly help students with pre-departure, and that will start with Sophie, our program advisor. She helps with any interested students, helping them find the appropriate programs for them, walking through some of the different features of our different programs to help students find the right fit. And then once students apply to a program, Maggie Aldworth and I work with them a bit more. So I'll go over all of their pre-departure forms, all the information they need to provide to us, their application materials, nominating them at the host universities in New Zealand. And Maggie will work with them with more site-specific things, so their courses, their visas, all of their housing, and things like that. So we're really there to support through the pre-departure process. We also will still work with students once they are abroad as well, but mostly we're there to support with pre-departure. And this is our New Zealand staff. So you'll see we do have a large number of staff members abroad. We're really going to dive into the support that they provide in this presentation, so we'll talk about them a lot later. You'll see we have at least one staff member for every location that we have. So there is a full-time staff member in every city where we have students. And you'll see there are also staff members in Auckland that help a lot with our internships programs. Cynthia and Jennifer work with our internship students a lot. Fred, our resident director in Wellington, also works with a service learning program that we have. And Perrin in Dunedin, he also assists with our Veritas program at the University of Otago. So they wear a couple of different hats, but we do have a large number of full-time staff in New Zealand. We'll kind of come back to a bit later. So as an advisor, kind of in being able to guide students to the right program, we all understand some students are more prepared for more immersive experiences, while others may need a little help along the way. And obviously there's a wide range of different opportunities for students to study abroad, from short-term programs, faculty-led programs, to a semester or year of traditional study abroad, and then kind of on the other end of that, the most immersive programs for students typically in internships abroad. So I wanted to focus on today the traditional study abroad experience in New Zealand, and kind of break that down and what students will really fit into this program well and the benefits that ISA does offer to students. And of course, I don't want to pigeonhole our programs into saying it's just great for first-time travelers. The independent traveler will also succeed here in their studies and have lots to do. But the services we do provide can help to cater to students who might need a little bit more assistance in a multitude of different ways. So we all know that international education providers, they add extra support for students while they're studying abroad for traditional study abroad semesters. But I'm going to go a little bit into what makes ISA and New Zealand ideal for students, especially that first-time traveler. We're going to dive into each of these aspects that creates the perfect environment for student success. So ISA's specific health, safety, and security, our 24/7 on-site staff that you just got to see before in the slide before this, disability accommodation assistance, both provided by our on-site staff and what New Zealand has to offer specifically, cultural activities that students partake in, our academic workshops, and our experiential learning programs that we offer to students that are a bit different than the traditional study abroad. And then New Zealand specifically, it's a great location for a study abroad for any type of student, but those students that might have a little bit harder time kind of adjusting or might experience culture shock a little bit more. Some of the things that make New Zealand a bit easier is that it is English speaking. It's a very friendly and welcoming culture. It's also a Western culture, so not incredibly different from the culture that they're used to in the U.S. And we also have diverse program locations, from small cities to college towns to large cities, all within New Zealand. So there's a number of different options for whatever a student really is looking for. So we're going to go over ISA's health, safety, and security a little bit and what makes it special. And this is really a benefit for all students and all universities that we work with, because we obviously are very dedicated to our students' health, safety, and security, and really try to go above and beyond in the health and safety department. So we do have 2 full-time staff members in the U.S. in ISA's Office of Health, Safety, and Security. And that's quite unique that we do have dedicated staff here in the U.S. And the background of our staff members is quite diverse, which really helps kind of round out that office. Robin does have a background in law, which is extremely helpful in many situations. Has been at ISA for over 5 years. Patrick has a background in national security and a very close relationship with OSAC, which is obviously very beneficial for us. We also have a 24/7 emergency system. That is both an emergency system here in the U.S. and with our on-site staff. We'll dive into the 24/7 support that our on-site staff gives in the next slide. But for all emergencies abroad, they're promptly reported to our 24/7 U.S.-based on-call staff. Our Office of Health, Safety, and Security oversees the response to all emergencies and incidences abroad. All staff that is manning the emergency system is trained in all of our emergency protocols, and they're there to provide guidance and support to any emergency that might occur abroad. The on-site staff is also available 24/7, and that's great for students. Like I said, we'll go into that a bit more in the next slide. In addition to overseeing the 24/7 emergency system, the Office of Health, Safety, and Security are also constantly monitoring security resources and world events. And they're looking out for any type of event that may impact our students in any of our locations. They are consistently updating and reviewing ISA's emergency protocol for effectiveness and compliance with the industry's best practices. We also have an alert system called Worldwide Alerts. This is something that the home universities will have access to. And these alerts about any of our locations are communicated quickly and efficiently to both the students and the home universities. the home universities are only going to get these alerts for the locations where they have students. So it's not an overwhelming, you're going to get any alert of anything that happens throughout the world, which is a nice benefit to that, just to really keep you informed about what's going on with your students abroad. And then all ISA students have access to an ISA online orientation after their program deadline passes. So all the students that are accepted are going to have access to this online orientation that has a plethora of information about health and safety, also about accommodations, communication abroad, money, anything like this, site specifics, transportation in their city, all of that. But it does go pretty in depth about health and safety matters for that specific location. This is also something that home universities will have access to through an advisor portal, so they can also see the information that their students are being given. And then once students are abroad, we're going to dive into this a little bit more in the next slide, but they are given a 4-day ISA-specific orientation where more health and safety matters are reviewed. They're provided with important emergency contact information and a safety card to keep with them, and that's given to them by the on-site staff, and they're given their emergency contact as well. So that they do have a number of resources in emergency situations. So now we'll chat a bit about our on-site staff and the benefits that they provide to students. As we went through health and safety, that's obviously beneficial for any type of student going abroad. I know we're really focusing on students who are first-time travelers and might need a bit more assistance. So you'll see some of that come through more in the on-site, what the on-site staff provides to our students. So, like I said, they are also available 24/7 for any type of emergency, which is great for students who have a face-to-face contact. They're not calling someone back in the US necessarily. They have someone that they know that they're comfortable with to help in any type of emergency situation. And then, as I mentioned before, the Bridging Cultures program. So that's going to be that 4-day long orientation. It's just ISA students. They can be from a handful of different universities throughout New Zealand all together. It's right when they arrive in country. It's the first thing that they'll do. Our on-site staff hosts this. And they'll provide them with some sessions about health and safety. They'll give them that the security card I was just speaking about. They'll talk about culture shock, how to navigate the resources of their new universities. But it's also filled with cultural events and excursions and fun things to introduce them to New Zealand. So some of the things that they will get to do is they'll learn a lot about the Maori culture there. They'll go to a marae and have a hungi dinner, which is a traditional celebratory dinner. They'll also learn how to perform the haka, which is a traditional war dance and war cry of the Maori people. They'll get to see some of the country. They'll be in Auckland and Rotorua, so they'll be able to visit Hobbiton and go swimming in some thermal hot springs, which is pretty interesting. So it's a great way to start the program and really give them the information that they need to be successful and introduce them to some of the culture and traveling around the country a bit. There's also more cultural activities and excursions throughout the term that's planned by our on-site staff. So it's planned and hosted by the staff. It's already included in the student's program price, so they're welcome to attend all of these excursions. So great for students that aren't necessarily sure how to go about planning travel and getting around. So it's a great little introduction to that, and it's there's a number of them, all the different locations that we have spread out through the semester. So a great way for students to kind of get out there and learn more about the culture and do some traveling. Our academic workshop is something that is individual to our sites in the Pacific. And it's something that's really going to be helpful for students who may not understand the academic cultural difference that they're stepping into. It's going to be within the first week or two of the student's semester abroad. And our on-site staff is going to hold this workshop to discuss academic cultural differences. They'll go through student syllabi with them, help them plan out their semester, talk about the academic resources that students have available, and really help students kind of set themselves up for success at their university. Academic culture shock can really be a large thing that students encounter when they study abroad, especially coming from America to New Zealand, which is a country whose academic culture is much more independent. Course grades can be solely based on 1 or 2 assignments, which is something that most American students aren't used to. So it's a great way to just right off the bat at the beginning of the semester, make sure students are prepared for that and know that they have resources to succeed, even though it is quite different than what they're used to. We also have Schoology for students. So this is a portal that they can access that gives them direct communication to their on-site staff. So on-site staff will use this to regularly check in with students, ask about travel plans, let them know about upcoming events and activities, and they can also kind of let students know about anything going on that they might want to avoid if there's protests going on that students should stay away from in the city or anything like that. It's just a great tool to be able to communicate. And it's also a place where they can give students access to resources and anything like that that they need to share with the students. And then as far as the on-site staff, their role in assisting students that might need someone to advocate them or with disability accommodations or anything like that. All of our on-site staff has great relationships with the host universities, so they can work with them to advocate for students if they need extra test time, if they need their accommodation to be close to where their courses are, anything like that that students might need assistance with, and it might be difficult for them to kind of navigate that on their own. We do have that on-site staff to really be there for the students. In addition to just working with the host university, our on-site staff also is there to help with any other needs, whether it's medical. We have our on-site staff often goes to the hospital or goes to the doctors with our students. We also know mental health is a large issue that students deal with, especially when they are abroad. So they will help students find resources, whether it's a therapist or making sure that they see a doctor to continue taking their medication or anything like that. So our on-site staff really is there to help students in any aspect of day-to-day life that they might not be able to navigate abroad. And as we're discussing disabilities, I also want to talk about just New Zealand as a location for students with disabilities. They really are making strides to make sure there is equal opportunity for students with disabilities. They have a number of laws in place to ensure equal access and rights in education. These include the Education Act of 1989. New Zealand's also a signatory of the UN Convention of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And they also have a society that provides kind of a framework to guide government agencies called the New Zealand Disability Strategy. So there are a number of different laws and resources and societies within New Zealand that's really advocating for students with disabilities and peoples with disabilities. So it is a good location for students to be in that might need accommodation or assistance, along with our on-site staff there to help advocate for them. It really is a good location for students to be able to spend a semester abroad. All right, so that's a lot of kind of what ISA provides and what we do to help students. Now I'm going to go over, and I'm going to go over this kind of quickly, just so I do leave time for questions, but of course you can always refer back to this. It's just information about our sites as well as all of our universities. So I'll buzz through this quickly, but again, like I said, you can always refer back to this to make sure you understand the highlights of each of our locations. So Auckland, we have 2 programs here for traditional study abroad semesters. One is at AUT and one's at the University of Auckland. Auckland is the largest city, so if students are really looking for that big city feel, Auckland's a great choice for them. It's been ranked one of the most livable cities. It does have a large Polynesian population, so there is a lot of diversity there, and some of the excursions there include surfing, wine tasting, kayaking, so lots of fun adventures to go on around the city there. So the University of Auckland is one of our universities there. It is the most prestigious university in New Zealand, and it's ranked 82nd in the world, so great opportunity for students to study at a wonderful university. They have great departments in international business, finance, Pacific studies, psychology, wine sciences, architecture. It is a large school, so again, if the students are looking for large city, large school feel, this is a great choice for them. There's a number of clubs there and different campus activities for students to get involved in. Students will live in self-catered apartments here, and it's only a 10 to 15 minute walk to campus. There is a pretty high GPA requirement for this one. It is a 3.0. For AUT, this is a really urban campus. It's very close to the University of Auckland, actually, but it is in the city center. There's a rugby program for students to join, which is a really fun opportunity when students are abroad to kind of get involved in something like that that isn't necessarily as big in the US. They do offer an internship for credit, so that's a course within the study abroad program at AUT, and they offer it in a variety of different subjects. Some of their key subjects include engineering, communication, media and journalism, early childhood education. The housing here is, again, self-catered apartment-style housing, and it's right across the street from campus, so super easy for students, and that GPA requirement is a 2.5. So Dunedin, it's a city on the South Island. It really is a college town. 1/3 of the population is students, university students. So if students are looking for more of that small town college feel, this is a great option for them. It has a unique history. It has a big Scottish influence there, which is pretty interesting. Our university there is the University of Otago. This is New Zealand's oldest university. The architecture is amazing there. Some of their highlights include education, marine science, literature, and history. We also offer a Veritas Christian Study Abroad option there, which is very, very similar to ISA's program. Students will attend the University of Otago, but they'll have a little bit extra mission work and engaging with the Christian community in Otago. And students here are going to live in self-catered houses, and that's going to be in the neighborhoods surrounding campus. So these are going to be kind of cute little homes in neighborhoods that students are going to be living in, which is lovely. And this one has a 3.0 GPA requirement. In Wellington, we also have 2 programs. It's going to be Victoria University of Wellington and Massey University in Wellington. Wellington is New Zealand's capital. It gets ranked with little awards for being the best city for this and that all the time. It's been ranked the world's most livable city for 2 years in a row. Lonely Planet has called it the coolest little capital in the world. It's a great little spot. It's a nice little city. It is going to have more of a city vibe than Dunedin, but less so than Auckland. So somewhere it's something in the middle there. This one is also up on the North Island. There is a service learning program available here if students are interested in that rather than attending the university. So for Victoria University, there's a large number of social activities that students can get involved in, which is great. It has a lot of cool architecture there, and it's located downtown, which is nice. They focus on business, humanities, social sciences, international relations. And again, students are going to live in houses in surrounding neighborhoods. So these are going to be self-catered little homes scattered throughout the neighborhoods surrounding the university, which is also just a great opportunity for students. And the GPA requirement here is at 2.75. Massey University is going to be a smaller school option in Wellington. It's very arts driven, really focuses on the creative arts, fashion, visual arts, anything like that. So it's going to be in a larger city, but with a small campus feel. So a great mix for students that are looking to go into the creative arts and have that kind of balance there. And again, the students are going to live in self-catered houses in a neighborhood surrounding campus. And that GPA requirement is also a 2.75. For Christchurch, this is the largest city on the South Island. And it's one of the best things about it is how green it is. It's known as the Garden City in New Zealand. There's a number of parks and gardens, tree-lined streets, and it's really centrally located to everything, whether it's the beaches or the mountains. It's one of those towns where you could go surfing and skiing in the same day, which is pretty cool. We partner with the University of Canterbury here, and they're world-renowned for engineering. They have a great engineering program and lots of volunteer opportunities as well. From back when that huge earthquake struck, Christchurch got kind of leveled, and there were a number of different opportunities to get involved with different ways to help out, which really built up their civil engineering programs, which is really great for students in the STEM fields. Most of their STEM fields at this university are wonderful. They also have a rugby program for international students to join. And their ski sports club or snow sports club has its own ski lodge in the mountains, which is a pretty unique feature to one of their clubs. So these students are also going to live in self-catered apartments, and they're 3 to 5 bedroom apartments. They'll have a single room there, and it's right across the street from campus. And the University of Canterbury also has a 2.5 GPA requirement. So now I just want to show a short little video that one of our students made. This was a student who studied abroad in Dunedin back in 2017, and it's just a pretty amazing video that he created. So I will go ahead and pull this up.
Well, actually, a lot of them, probably like 25% less. Not always, but my schedule's pretty dope. It's like a few times. Also, he's not, I feel like he's not the height.
All right, so I always love showing that little video of one of our students' experience in New Zealand. I'm just going to flip this around. We can go to questions now. I'll just present myself here. All right. Okay, so if anyone has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you all now. So you can unmute yourself then and ask any questions. You can also put those in the chat feature. And then we have, let's see, what else? Looks like we have a question about insurance. So we do offer an insurance plan for our students. It's part of the program costs. They do have medical insurance coverage through us. In most cases, yes, it does cover pre-existing conditions for students. Definitely something to really look into, but in most cases, our insurance will cover pre-existing conditions. And they definitely want to, if students do have any pre-existing conditions, they'll definitely want to chat with us, mostly program manager, myself, before they leave, so that we can help make sure everything is prepared for them when they go. They can start looking into doctors that they would need to see, or any resources that they would need that we could find them. And then financial aid for disability costs. So this is one. There are a lot of different options for additional funding. And again, this is something that we would want to chat about with a student before they went abroad to see if we could assist them with any type of funding, or if it's something they were getting funding through their home university that they could transfer to their study abroad. We definitely take students' financial aid from their home universities if it's applicable. So sometimes that will transfer over. And there are some different funding opportunities that we can offer students. Different universities offer different services. The University of Canterbury is a university that helps a lot with funding for students who may need it, whether that's financial need or need for something like a disability. So that's a great option for students. Are there any other questions? Anything anybody else would like to know? All right, it looks like those were the two questions we got. You'll all be able to get copies of this presentation if you'd like to kind of go through it and refer to it again. And oh, it looks like, oh no, not another question. And yeah, if you have any other questions about New Zealand or ISA or anything we went over today, or anything outside of it for that matter, feel free to reach out to me. You can find my contact information on the ISA website, and I'm happy to answer any questions. All right, thanks everybody.